Rescue workers are looking for survivors after 2 trains collided in Greece, killing at least 40 people and injuring dozens more.
Finland's parliament overwhelmingly backs NATO membership, but Sanna Marin's government still needs Turkey and Hungary to ratify the bid.
At least 40 people have been killed and dozens more are missing after 2 trains collided in Greece. Officials say at least 60 of the 72 injured people have been taken to the hospital for treatment, and at least 6 people are in intensive care. Lawmakers have since promised to uncover the root cause of the tragic accident.
Ένα πράγμα μπορώ να εγγυηθώ. Θα μάθουμε τα αίτια αυτής της τραγωδίας και θα κάνουμε ό,τι περνάει από το χέρι μας για να μην ξανασυμβεί ποτέ κάτι τέτοιο.
The country's transport minister has said that he will resign, and the authorities have arrested a railroad station master. The country's National Blood Donation Center has called for the public to donate blood, while medical examiners are having a hard time identifying the victims.
Τα δύο πρώτα βαγόνια μαζί με τη μηχανή ήταν μία μάζα. Ήταν και αυτά που είχαν πάρει τη φωτιά και ήταν λίγο δύσκολη η επιχείρηση απεγκλωβισμού εκεί. Σβήσαν τη φωτιά οι πυροσβέστες και σιγά σιγά άρχισαν να επιχειρούμε, γιατί και η φωτιά που έσβησε είχε ακόμα μία μεγάλη πύρα τα αντικείμενα όλα αυτά.
Πυροσβέστες και διασώστες συνεχίζουν να παλεύουν με τα λιωμένα σίδερα και να αναζητούν εγκλωβισμένους. Συγγενείς των τραυματιών φτάνουν στην περιοχή, ενώ το πολύ νεκρό σιδηροδρομικό δυστύχημα έφερε και έντονη πολιτική κόντρα. Όλοι μιλούν για μια τραγωδία που θα μπορούσε να έχει αποφευχθεί. Από τα Τέμπη για το Euronews, Απόστολος Τάικος.
As anger grows over Greece's worst train disaster, several hundred students demonstrated outside the headquarters of the locomotive operator Hellenic Train. What began as a peaceful protest turned more violent quickly, with riot police facing off against stone-throwing protesters, although no arrests or injuries were reported. The passenger train, which collided with a freight train, had been carrying 350 passengers, many of them students returning from carnival celebrations. Beforehand, a vigil was held to remember those killed and injured.
Ukraine is claiming that Russia has lost at least 130 tanks and armoured personnel carriers in a 3-week battle near the southern Ukrainian town of Vuhledar. This footage was released last week, showing a Russian tank being targeted in the area. But Ukrainian officials are now describing an epic battle, inflicting a stinging setback on Moscow. The claims have not been independently verified. In the meantime, what is clear is that Russian shelling has left a trail of destruction in the town. In Bakhmut, Ukraine's Azov fighters are still defending the beleaguered city. Russia is determined to take Bakhmut, but it's more of a political prize than of any military importance. Both sides have lost many soldiers.
Бахмут – это тяжелое место, тяжелая такая территория, за которую доводится вести бои. Слишком большое скопление пехоты противника. У них стоит цель, и они кидают сюда все ресурсы.
President Zelensky has said the Ukrainian military may still decide to withdraw its forces from Bakhmut. We're not going to sacrifice all of our people just for nothing, he said. And as the war grinds on, civilians in Chasiv Yar, a city less than 10 kilometers from Bakhmut, adapt to life under the threat of increased shelling. Without heating, they also try to repair what has been damaged and destroyed and carry on.
Finland's parliament has overwhelmingly approved the country's bid to join NATO, clearing the last national hurdle for membership of the Western military alliance. The move was backed by 184 votes to 7, with MPs also signing off on the law required to put it into practice. The vote was initiated by Prime Minister Sanna Marin's government, which wanted to get it through before April's election, even though 2 NATO countries, Turkey and Hungary, have not yet ratified either the Finnish membership bid or that of neighbouring Sweden. Both countries moved to join in May last year, alarmed by Russia's invasion of Ukraine 3 months earlier. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg, seen here with the Turkish Foreign Minister last month, said this week that membership for Finland and Sweden is a top priority for the alliance and urged Turkey and Hungary to urgently ratify their accession. Turkey has agreed to resume talks with both countries to iron out obstacles. Tibetan exiles protest outside the Chinese embassy in New Delhi, setting the tone for a tense G20 gathering. The two-day foreign ministers' meeting is fraught with tension due to differing positions on Russia's war in Ukraine.
It's clear our position. This war has to be condemned. Russia has to stop and withdraw. And as far as it doesn't happen, we will be doing both support to Ukraine and keeping open the door to any kind of approach that could bring peace.
Visiting Central Asia, the US Secretary of State made it clear he would not be meeting his Russian or Chinese counterparts individually.
Now, we all know the simple truth that the war could end tomorrow. It could end today if President Putin so decided. He started it, he can stop it. It's on one level as simple as that. And we should never lose sight of that fact. No one should lose sight of the fact that we have an aggressor and we have a victim.
Russia's foreign minister, here greeting his Turkish counterpart upon arrival in India, will no doubt turn his diplomatic fire on the US and the West. Sergei Lavrov, who last year claimed Russia didn't invade Ukraine, is trying to get the hosts on Moscow's side. He condemns sanctions and what he calls Western threats and blackmail as neo-colonial practices.
Russia is trying to slow down the provision of Western tanks and other equipment in advance of expected Ukrainian counter-offensive. How? By escalating false flag information operations. What are those operations? The Russian Ministry of Defense accused the US and its accomplices of planning to carry out a provocation in Ukraine using toxic chemicals. It has also claimed that Ukrainian officials are planning false flag attacks at hazardous radiation facilities in Ukraine to accuse Russian forces of indiscriminately striking such sites. The apparent uptick in fallacious biochemical and nuclear false flag warnings accompanies a concerted Russian false flag information operation, accusing Ukraine of preparing for an invasion of Russian-occupied Transnistria in Moldova. Vladimir Putin also notably reintroduced a nuclear narrative when he announced Russia's intent to suspend participation in START treaty. The Institute for the Study of War says Russian authorities appear to be escalating their promotion of false flag information operations to distract from their lack of tangible battlefield gains. Russian forces continued their ground attacks around Bakhmut and made tactical gains within the city, but the fiercely contested eastern city is not surrounded, Ukrainian officials say. The UK Defence Ministry also points out the decrease in drone attack tempo that likely indicates that Russia has run down its current stock and it will likely seek a resupply. Since October, Russia launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Ukraine's energy infrastructure far from the front line, temporarily cutting off electricity, heat and water to millions. Today is officially the first day of spring in Ukraine, and Ukrainians have gone through this winter of the darkness and cold.
China retaliates after the FBI resurrects the theory that the coronavirus pandemic originated from a Wuhan laboratory leak. This hypothesis, which has never been formally confirmed, affects the United States' credibility, says Beijing, and comes at a time when tensions between the two nations are at a high.
中方坚决反对借溯源问题搞任何形式的政治操弄。情报部门搞科学问题，本身就是将溯源问题政治化。基于美国情报部门造假、欺骗的斑斑劣迹，他们得出的结论没有任何可信度可言。
The man behind the comments has been the FBI director himself, Christopher Wray. Many scientists have rejected the lab leak theory as lacking in evidence, and other government agencies have drawn differing conclusions to the bureaus. Some of them have said, but with a low level of certainty, that the virus did not start in a lab, but instead could have jumped from animals to humans at one of Wuhan's seafood markets.
The International Atomic Energy Agency's inspectors have found 83.7% highly enriched uranium in Iran, close to the levels of purity needed to make nuclear weapons. But the Iranian nuclear chief has downplayed the discovery, saying it was a, quote, unintentional fluctuation.
در خصوص اون ذره 84% که یک نمونه برداری از کنار یک شیر به اصطلاح توی پروسه بوده، خب یک ذره‌ای که در حقیقت پارتیکلی که با میکروسکوپ هم دیده نمیشه. مهم حجم موادیه که میره و بعد پس از تولید ذخیره میشه. موادی رو که از پروسه خارج شده بود قنای اون رو مشاهده کردن، دیدن که هیچی از 60% متجاوز نیست.
The highly enriched material was found in the Fordo underground plant south of Tehran and weighs more than 87 kilos. The UN agency is now trying to shed light on the matter and has also complained that dozens of disconnected surveillance cameras are hampering monitoring efforts. British police say they have discovered the body of a 2-month-old baby in a 2-day search for a missing newborn. The child's parents were arrested in Brighton in Sussex on Monday after they were spotted by a member of the public. They had been on the run for 7 weeks. Constance Martin and Mark Gordon have been charged with suspicion of gross negligence manslaughter. It's believed they had been living rough in a tent and moved around at night to avoid being found. It's thought the mother had given birth just a few days before they went missing.